Let me make one thing absolutely clear. Your thoughts are building your future, brick by brick, day by day. And if you don't learn how to think correctly, you'll remain stuck in a prison made of your own mind. Success doesn't start with action. It doesn't start with resources. It starts with thought, controlled, focused, dominant thought. If you master that, nothing will be denied to you. If you ignore it, life will punish you with confusion, mediocrity, and regret. You are where you are right now because of the way you've been thinking. Don't look around, don't blame, don't defend. You got yourself here. That's the truth. And if you want to get somewhere else, somewhere higher, stronger, freer, you must rewire the engine that drives everything, your mind. The masses walk around hypnotized by fear, worry, distraction, and weakness. They think reactively. They let the world tell them what to feel, what to do, what to think. But you're here for more. You're here to rise. And that rise begins with a radical change in your thinking. You must reject low-level thoughts like poison. Doubt is a virus. Fear is a thief. Excuses are anchors. Get rid of all of them. Correct thinking is not just positive thinking. That's surface-level fluff. Correct thinking is controlled, self-directed, iron-willed thinking. It means you don't allow a single thought to stay in your mind unless it serves your goal. It means waking up with purpose, visualizing your victory before the world even sees it. It means becoming ruthless with your focus. Most people can't concentrate for 5 minutes. Winners concentrate for 5 years. That's the gap. Your thoughts are instructions. Every time you think I can't, your body listens. Every time you think it's too hard, your progress slows. But when you think I will, I must, and it's already mine, you reprogram your inner world. That's the difference between those who struggle and those who conquer. Correct thinking doesn't wait for evidence. It creates it. You don't need to see the path to start walking. You don't need applause to stay committed. You don't need guarantees to bet on yourself. All you need is a dominant, definite purpose and the mental discipline to think of nothing else. You were born with the most powerful tool in the universe, your mind. But no one teaches you how to use it. So you drift, you wish, you hesitate. Not anymore. From this moment, you take command of your thoughts. You train them. You don't let them wander. You don't feed them junk. You don't allow toxic voices, gossip, or complaints to enter your mental gates. Your mind is a fortress. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every great leader, every wealthy builder, every world shaker, what did they have first? A thought, a burning belief, a vision they would not surrender. They planted that thought in their mind and protected it like gold. While others wasted their thoughts on distractions and doubts, the great ones stayed loyal to the vision in their mind. And that's what I'm teaching you today. Not just how to think, but how to think correctly. Strong, strategic, unstoppable. The kind of thinking that builds empires from nothing, that turns pain into power, and that never bows to circumstance. You don't need more luck, you don't need more money, you don't need more friends, you need more focus, more mental clarity, more intensity of thought. The people who rise aren't lucky, they're laser-focused. Their thoughts are weapons, their vision is fire, their mind is trained like a machine. You can't afford weak thinking anymore. It costs you too much. It costs you years. It costs you peace. It costs you greatness. You must choose now to upgrade your internal software. Delete everything that holds you back. Upload belief. Upload discipline. Upload courage. Think thoughts that energize. Think thoughts that commit. Think thoughts that destroy all possibility of failure. When your thinking changes, everything else obeys. You move different. You speak with certainty. You take risks. You win. Because here's the truth. You are one thought away from changing your life. One correct thought. One firm decision. One refusal to ever again let your mind betray your mission. Train your mind. Rule your world. Think correctly, and no one can stop you. Let me know if you want a 150-word YouTube description, SEO title, tags, or high CTR thumbnail text for this speech. Every achievement begins with disciplined thought. Not hope, not luck, not wishing. The real power lies in thought that has been trained, sharpened, and directed like a blade. Undisciplined thinking leads to wasted years. Scattered thinking leads to scattered results. But when your mind becomes focused, ruthlessly focused, your life begins to obey your command. The world moves for the one who knows exactly what they think, exactly what they want, and refuses to allow anything less into their mental space. Weak minds wander. Strong minds conquer. And every person who has ever risen from obscurity to greatness has done so by first mastering their inner world. The mind is the battlefield, and thought is the weapon. You don't win with talent if your mind is scattered. You don't succeed with potential if your thinking is soft. It's not enough to want something. You must think in a way that demands it into reality. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are instructions. Every day you are building your future with the sentences running through your mind. If you think with doubt, fear, and confusion, your life will reflect it. If you think with power, precision, and purpose, your results will transform. You don't become successful by accident. You become successful because you made the decision to think like a winner when the world offered you every excuse to think like a victim. And that is where the separation begins. Winners think differently. They don't allow temporary failure to become permanent defeat. They don't think in terms of problems. They think in terms of solutions, action, and results. They know the cost of a single weak thought is far greater than any temporary setback. Their mind is their shield, their sword, and their strategy. If you want to achieve something you've never had, you must start thinking in ways you've never thought. Most people are prisoners of the same recycled thoughts. They wake up thinking about stress, scarcity, comparison, and fear. Then they wonder why life never changes. You can't live an extraordinary life with ordinary thinking. You can't dominate if your thoughts are disorganized. You must become relentless in the way you think. Choose your thoughts the way a warrior chooses his weapon. Filter out every idea that makes you shrink, hesitate, or quit. Those thoughts are not yours. They've been planted by failure, by fear, by society. Remove them, burn them. Replace them with thought that aligns with strength, vision, and victory. Thinking correctly is not motivational fluff. It is the foundation of every outcome in your life. If your mind isn't disciplined, you will fall to every distraction. The undisciplined thinker is controlled by emotion. But the one who rules their thoughts rules their emotions. They don't panic when things get hard. They don't collapse when things get uncertain. They anchor their mind to purpose and press forward. Correct thinking makes you unstoppable because it turns problems into plans and struggle into strategy. It makes you calm under pressure. It makes you decisive in chaos. It makes you bold when others crumble. That's the power of mastering your thoughts. The difference between an average life and a powerful life is the ability to think with precision, regardless of circumstances. Every successful individual you've ever admired had moments of darkness, but their thinking didn't collapse. They kept the picture of their vision clear. They repeated it until it drowned out every voice of failure. That's not magic. That's mental discipline. You don't wait for confidence. You build it by thinking as if you already possess what you desire. You don't wait for clarity. You create it by stripping away distraction and choosing a single focus. That's what correct thinking does. It gives you the edge the world can't take away. It gives you strength that no crisis can break. It gives you direction in a world of noise. Train your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Do not let your brain wander into the territory of fear, laziness, or self-pity. That is the mental poison that steals years from people. It destroys ambition. It kills potential. You must treat your mind like sacred ground. Guard it, clean it, sharpen it, strengthen it. Do not tolerate toxic thinking even for a second. When a weak thought shows up, attack it. Replace it. Reinforce the thought that builds your power, not your doubt. You are the commander of your mind. Never forget that. No one else will train it for you. If you don't take control, the world will, and it will fill your head with confusion, comparison, and cowardice. You are better than that. You are built for more. Every single day, you have the opportunity to shape your destiny by shaping your thoughts. Choose the thoughts of strength, certainty, and discipline. Choose the thoughts that support your mission. Every time you think I can, you move closer to your goal. Every time you visualize success, you build the bridge to reach it. Correct thinking is not a skill, it's a commitment. It's a daily decision to reject weakness and embrace mastery. It's the refusal to let your mind become soft in a world that rewards distraction. It's the decision to focus like your future depends on it, because it does. You don't need perfect conditions to start winning. You need perfect mental alignment. You need to think with such clarity that your actions become inevitable. You need to think with such conviction that no obstacle can talk you out of your dream. The battle is in your thoughts. Win there and everything else will follow. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Discipline your mind, strengthen your thoughts. Think like the person you were meant to become, and then become it. You become what you habitually think. This is not a metaphor. It is not a suggestion, it is law. What you repeatedly allow in your mind begins to shape your identity, your behavior, your attitude, and eventually your entire reality. Thought is the original force. Everything you are, everything you will be, is a direct result of what you choose to think over and over again. Your habits begin in the mind. Your emotions begin in the mind. Your actions begin in the mind. The dominant thought you hold is the invisible sculptor of your life. It carves your confidence, your fears, your patterns, your beliefs. And most people never stop to question the thoughts they repeat daily. They absorb the noise of the world and make it their identity, not realizing they are choosing weakness every time they allow a negative thought to stay. You do not rise by chance. You rise by repetition. And repetition of the right thought builds the strongest version of you. Every time you say, I can't, your nervous system believes it. Every time you imagine failure, your emotions follow. Every time you mentally replay your past disappointments, your future shrinks. But if you flip the script, if you begin to habitually think, I can, I will, I must, you activate parts of your brain and body that were dormant. Your energy changes, your posture shifts, your focus sharpens, and your decisions begin to reflect someone who expects to win, not someone who fears losing. That is the quiet revolution that begins when you master your thoughts. It's not instant, it's not flashy, but it is powerful. Because what you do every day becomes who you are, and what you think every day becomes what you do. The truth is, every failure you've experienced began in thought. Every time you hesitated, every time you quit, every time you played small, it started with a thought you accepted as truth. You didn't fail because of what happened. You failed because of how you interpreted it in your mind. And that means your freedom is already within reach. You don't need to change the world around you first. You need to change the conversation inside your head. The words you say to yourself matter more than any outside opinion. If your inner language is negative, hesitant, weak, or uncertain, your life will match it. But if you make it strong, focused, relentless, and empowered, everything begins to shift in your favor. Your mind was designed to obey your dominant thoughts. It will follow your instructions whether they build you or destroy you. So choose carefully, because thought is not passive. It is the beginning of all transformation. You must reprogram your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. And the process is not mystical, it is mechanical. Just like a muscle grows with repeated resistance, your mindset strengthens with repeated focus. You must decide which thoughts deserve to stay and which ones must be rejected immediately. This is not optional if you want to win. You cannot afford to entertain self-doubt even for a moment. You cannot afford to dwell in the past. You cannot afford to replay your mistakes like a broken record. The cost of those thoughts is too high. They drain your potential, they delay your mission, and they distort your identity. You are not your past. You are not your failure. You are not your fear. You are the thinker behind it, and you have the power to choose again. Every day you must wake up and feed your mind the thoughts that match your purpose. Just like you feed your body, you must feed your spirit. Speak power into your mind before the world speaks confusion into it. Visualize the future you want until it becomes more real than the distractions trying to pull you away. Surround yourself with thoughts that multiply your faith, not your fear. And never allow the noise of the world to be louder than the voice inside you that says, I was made for more. If you let that voice die, your dreams die with it. But if you fuel it, protect it, strengthen it, it will become unstoppable. What you habitually think becomes what you unconsciously do. And what you unconsciously do becomes what you inevitably achieve. That's the chain. That's the truth. You don't have to force success. You just have to think in alignment with it long enough, consistently enough, and intensely enough, and your habits, behavior, and results will catch up. The only reason most people don't rise is because they never take full control of their thought process. They allow old programming, false beliefs, and emotional wounds to dictate what they think. But you are not most people. You are here because you want to break the pattern. And breaking the pattern begins with breaking the thought that built it. You cannot afford to be lazy with your mind. The price is too high. A weak mind will accept failure before it even tries. A weak mind will create excuses instead of outcomes. A weak mind will accept limitations that were never real to begin with. But a strong mind does the opposite. A strong mind sees through the fear. A strong mind creates new paths. A strong mind builds new possibilities even when none seem available. And that kind of mind is not born, it is built. It is built through daily, disciplined, habitual thinking that aligns with strength, not weakness, with courage, not doubt, with clarity, not confusion, with intention, not reaction. Repetition of power thoughts changes everything. Repeat who you are until you become it. Repeat what you believe until nothing can shake it. Repeat the vision of your future until it becomes the only outcome you accept. Your thinking is your foundation. Your thinking is your weapon. And your thinking is your responsibility. You cannot think like a victim and win like a leader. You cannot think like the average and expect the extraordinary. You must build new mental habits now, and you must repeat them until they become automatic. That's how transformation works. That's how identity changes. That's how the impossible becomes inevitable. Correct thinking is not passive. It is deliberate, sharp, and ruthlessly focused. It doesn't drift. It doesn't wait. It doesn't entertain useless thoughts. It commands. It cuts through noise, fear, and emotion like a blade. This kind of thinking doesn't appear by accident. It is forged through discipline, mental effort, and unwavering purpose. You don't stumble into clarity. You manufacture it by refusing to let your mind wander into weakness. Passive thinking is what the average person does all day, consuming, reacting, waiting. But correct thinking is proactive. It decides what must happen. It doesn't hope for direction, it builds it. It doesn't look for reassurance, it generates it. This kind of mental power doesn't leave anything to chance. It treats every thought like a soldier. Either it serves the mission, or it gets eliminated immediately. That's the difference between people who control life and those who are controlled by it. Those who master thought master everything. The mind is a battlefield. Not because life is hard, but because undisciplined thought is weak. Most people walk around with open doors to their mind, letting in every fear, every distraction, every opinion. They're not thinking, they're absorbing. And they wonder why their lives are filled with confusion, hesitation, and mediocrity. They've surrendered control. They've given up the power to shape their own reality. But you don't have to be one of them. You can take it back. You can take it all back by deciding to think like a leader, not a follower. By deciding to take full command of your inner world and run it like a fortress. No invader gets in. No fear stays long. No weakness makes a home in your mind. Because correct thinking doesn't tolerate what drains it. It replaces emotion with execution. It replaces doubt with discipline. It replaces noise with direction. This kind of thinking doesn't sit around waiting for motivation. It creates its own fire. It gets up and moves before it feels ready. It doesn't need comfort. It doesn't need permission. It simply decides what must be done and then does it. That is the power of a sharp mind. It slices through hesitation and removes the luxury of excuse. It doesn't give space to worry because it's too focused on the result. The mind that thinks correctly becomes a tool for execution. It doesn't entertain a plan B. It doesn't wonder if it's possible. It assumes success and adjusts every move to match that assumption. It is not gentle. It is precise. It is built for one thing, outcome. Correct thinking means becoming the architect of your destiny with every thought you allow. It means choosing your thoughts like a general chooses strategy. There's no room for random ideas. There's no place for victim stories. You must reject every thought that doesn't serve the vision, because every time you think small, you delay your future. Every time you think out of fear, you weaken your momentum. And every time you think without intention, you give power to the very forces trying to keep you average. A focused mind has no tolerance for that. It operates on standards. If a thought doesn't strengthen your drive, sharpen your action, or align with your mission, it gets thrown out. Most people don't understand how dangerous weak thinking is. It starts small, a little doubt here, a little fear there, a little distraction, a little delay, and soon their direction disappears, their energy fades, their will collapses, because they never practiced mental control. They let their mind go wherever it wanted. They fed it junk, and now they're starving for clarity. That is not how warriors think. That is not how leaders build. You must become someone who thinks with surgical intent, someone who doesn't entertain distraction, someone who questions every idea and keeps only what builds power. Every thought must be filtered. Every belief must be tested. If it does not lead you to the result, it does not belong in your mind. You weren't born to live on autopilot. You weren't made to wander through life confused, stuck, or defeated. But if your thinking is unfocused, you will stay that way. The truth is brutal and liberating. Your mind is either working for you or against you. There is no in-between. If you don't control it, it will be controlled. And what controls it will shape your entire life. So now you must ask yourself what kind of thoughts you allow. Are they sharpening you or softening you? Are they pushing you forward or pulling you backward? Are they helping you win or just helping you cope? The mind must be trained to fight for you, not against you. And that training begins with total ownership of thought. Correct thinking feels like pressure at first because it demands awareness. It demands discipline. It demands the death of excuse, the end of blame, and the rejection of average. It demands that you become someone who doesn't just think, someone who thinks like a weapon. Like every thought is a tool, every belief is a command, every image is a vision that must be built in real life. This is the path of those who rise. They don't have better luck or more talent. They think sharper. They move faster because they think clearer. They get results because they do not give space to the thoughts that weaken them. They win before they begin because their thoughts are already aligned with the outcome. No more mental clutter, no more fog, no more loose thinking. From this moment forward, your thoughts are your responsibility. You will not let a single useless thought take root. You will not allow weakness to grow in silence. You will choose only the thoughts that push you, sharpen you, and move you. And with that choice, everything changes. Because once your mind is correct, your life follows. Once your thoughts are disciplined, your actions explode. And once you eliminate mental noise, all that's left is clarity, power, and progress. Success is created first in the mind, long before it's visible in the world. Everything that you want, everything you dream of, everything you're chasing, it begins with an image so real in your mind that the world has no choice but to follow. That image, that belief, that unshakable internal picture is where success is truly born. Not in applause, not in money, not in recognition. Long before the world claps for you, you must already see it within yourself. Before anyone believes in you, you must believe so deeply in your own ability that doubt becomes irrelevant. Before any result shows up, your mind must already be conditioned to expect it. That is the secret of all who win. Their success was formed in silence. It was rehearsed in solitude. It was created mentally and emotionally over and over until reality had no choice but to reflect it. This is not motivational fluff. This is law. The mind is the blueprint. It is the starting ground. It is the invisible engine that builds everything you see. Look around. Every product, every building, every piece of technology was once nothing more than thought. But that thought, when held with focus and emotion, became something physical. The same is true for your life. If your inner world is scattered, weak, or filled with conflict, your outer world will always mirror it. But when your mind becomes certain, when your thoughts become fixed on what must be, your actions begin to align. Your decisions become different. Your behavior shifts. And the results begin to unfold piece by piece. It's not magic, it's alignment. It's the law of identity. You cannot outachieve your belief system. You cannot outperform your inner picture. If you don't see yourself winning, you will sabotage your own climb. That is why success begins as a mental structure before it becomes a physical reality. Too many people are waiting for evidence before they believe. They wait for results before they commit. But that is backwards. The most powerful achievers don't wait for proof. They build it internally. They hold the vision in their mind until it becomes more familiar than failure. They keep it alive until every move they make is guided by that belief. The world follows those who already know who they are and where they're going. But that kind of certainty is not born from conditions. It is born from controlled thought. The right thinking becomes the lens through which all life is filtered. And when you filter life through the lens of certainty, you start to act with precision. You begin to speak like a leader, move like a winner, and expect the outcome before it happens. That's how champions are made. They don't react to the world, they command it starting from the inside. Success doesn't begin when someone gives you a chance. It doesn't start when the doors open. It starts when you decide mentally and emotionally that you are done playing small, that you are finished being average, that you will no longer entertain anything less than the life you were built to create. That's when momentum begins. That's when clarity arrives. And that's when your energy starts shifting in ways people can't understand. They'll say you changed. They'll say you're obsessed. They won't see the years you spent building it in your mind. They won't understand the mental repetitions, the visualizations, the silent affirmations. But it doesn't matter. The world doesn't need to understand. It only needs to witness what you've already seen inside you 1,000 times. That's real power. When your vision becomes so solid that you don't need validation to keep going. It's not just about thinking positively, it's about thinking correctly. It's about building mental frameworks that align with execution, discipline, and belief. Anyone can wish. Anyone can hope. But those who dominate train their minds relentlessly. They remove thoughts that conflict with their mission. They eliminate ideas that pull them back. They don't entertain what-ifs or maybe somedays. Their thoughts are intentional, clean, and focused on the end result. That's what builds speed. That's what creates flow. That's what turns an invisible idea into a tangible reality. Every great success story began in someone's mind, repeated with such consistency that eventually the world adjusted to their belief. You must start thinking like the person you want to become long before the world reflects it. Your thoughts must carry the weight of certainty even when no one else sees what you're building. That's the cost of leadership. That's the cost of transformation. If you can't see it inside, you will never hold it outside. But once your mind accepts it as reality, everything starts aligning. The people you meet, the actions you take, the situations that unfold, they all begin to fall into place because they're responding to your internal world. The inner image always leads the external result. That is why correct thinking is not optional. It is the first and most powerful step toward mastery. You will never rise higher than the vision you hold in your mind. You will never create more than you can first believe. Success is not about working harder without purpose. It's about thinking so clearly, so consistently, so deliberately that your actions become automatic and your confidence becomes unshakable. Once you have the mental image, once it's etched into your consciousness, your job is to align your life with it. The image leads, the action follows, the result obeys. Most people try to reverse this. They wait for something to happen before they believe. But the elite know better. They believe first. They see it inside so clearly that outside conditions are irrelevant. Whether it takes a month, a year, or 10 years, it doesn't matter. They've already won mentally. And once you've won mentally, time becomes a detail. From this moment forward, think in alignment with what you want, not with what you fear. Hold the image of success so vividly that it becomes the only reality your body responds to. Do not let temporary circumstances blur your vision. Strengthen your belief until it becomes louder than your environment. Focus your mind until it creates momentum so powerful that no setback can shake it. Build your success in silence, with focus, repetition, and unshakable inner vision. Then go live it. Wrong thinking builds invisible prisons. Correct thinking breaks every mental chain. These prisons aren't made of bars or walls. They're made of thoughts. Thoughts that whisper you can't, you're not ready, you're not enough. Thoughts that loop on failure, rehearse the past, and expect the worst. These are the chains that hold people down even when no one else is stopping them. They aren't trapped by circumstances. They're trapped by the way they think about those circumstances. It's not the outside world keeping people stuck. It's the mental scripts they've repeated for years. Scripts filled with limitation, guilt, doubt, fear, and weakness. You can be surrounded by opportunity and still miss it if your thinking is shaped by scarcity. You can be free to move but remain paralyzed if your thoughts are controlled by fear. That is the power of wrong thinking. It convinces you to build a small life even when a greater one is fully within reach. These mental prisons are dangerous because they feel familiar. They become so normal, so constant, that you stop questioning them. You mistake the voice of fear for your own reasoning. You confuse caution with intelligence. You start calling self-doubt humility, and you let go of your potential without even realizing it. That's the tragedy of mental chains. They don't scream, they whisper. They don't fight you with violence, they seduce you with comfort. And soon, you find yourself making safe decisions, staying quiet when you should speak, shrinking when you should rise, accepting a life you never chose but slowly tolerated. That's how wrong thinking steals years from you. Not with dramatic losses, but with small concessions, thoughts you didn't challenge, doubts you didn't silence, truths you didn't embrace. But correct thinking, true, aligned, focused thinking, breaks those chains. It doesn't negotiate with fear. It doesn't ask for permission. It kicks down the door of limitation and says, I will not live like this. Correct thinking sees the truth even when the evidence is unclear. It recognizes that the mind controls the body, that belief controls behavior, and that every outcome begins as an internal declaration. It sees through the illusions of the mental prison and replaces the old scripts with something more powerful. It doesn't say, what if I fail? It says, what if I win? It doesn't say, I've never done this before. It says, it's time I begin. Correct thinking doesn't coddle you. It challenges you. It exposes the lies you've lived under and dares you to rise above them. Most people don't realize how much power they give to a single wrong thought. One idea, accepted as truth, can limit you for decades. The thought that says, I'm not worthy. The thought that says, I've already missed my chance. The thought that says, people like me don't succeed. These are lies dressed up as reason, and until they are removed, they quietly shape every choice you make. But once you begin to think correctly, once you start to examine the source of those thoughts and question their validity, you take your power back. You begin to separate who you truly are from what you've been conditioned to believe. You become free not because the world changes, but because your inner world does. Correct thinking doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means interpreting it through strength, not fear. It means choosing your response, not reacting to emotion. It means setting your mind on what you intend to create, not what you're afraid to face. Correct thinking is intentional. It's not easy. It's not automatic. It's a discipline. But it is the only way to break the cycle. You cannot escape a prison if you believe you deserve to be there. You cannot rise above limitation if you keep defending it, and you cannot create a powerful life while thinking powerless thoughts. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny, and if you don't take control of them, they'll build a life that keeps you locked inside the same patterns, the same stories, and the same regrets. You were not born to be chained. You were not designed to live in mental confinement. You were created with the ability to choose, to rise, to think differently. But that freedom must be claimed. You must decide right now that you will no longer tolerate any thought that reduces your power, that you will not serve the prison of self-doubt, regret, shame, or fear, that every time a thought enters your mind, it will be tested. Does this strengthen me or weaken me? Does this align with my future or with my failure? If it weakens, it goes. If it builds, it stays. That is the beginning of transformation. That is the moment the chains begin to crack. Correct thinking is not about arrogance or ego. It's about alignment. It's about choosing to think in a way that reflects your purpose, not your pain. It's about rewiring your inner world until it reflects the life you actually want, not the one you've settled for. That means replacing hesitation with hunger, replacing confusion with clarity, replacing victimhood with vision. When your thinking changes, your energy changes. When your energy changes, your actions follow. And when your actions change, your results shift. But it all starts with the moment you refuse to let wrong thinking dominate your mind for one more second. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of every mental chain. It's not waiting for perfect timing or more resources. It's waiting for you to unlock it with a new way of thinking. You do that by starving the thoughts that have kept you small and feeding the ones that make you bold. You do it by questioning everything you once accepted as limitation. You do it by telling yourself the truth even when it's uncomfortable. You were never trapped by life. You were trapped by your interpretation of it. And the moment you see that clearly, the prison starts to crumble. Correct thinking is freedom. It is vision. It is momentum. And it is yours to claim. From this moment forward, refuse to accept the lies that built your mental cage. Replace them with discipline, clarity, and power. Think like someone who is free. Think like someone who is rising. Think like someone who will never again be ruled by chains that were never real to begin with. You are not poor, defeated, or broken. Your thinking is. Fix that, and everything else aligns. Your outer world is not the real problem. It's not your bank account. It's not your situation. It's not the obstacles in front of you. It's the beliefs you've held for so long that they now feel like facts. You've been conditioned to see lack instead of abundance, limits instead of possibilities, setbacks instead of setups. But poverty is not the absence of money. It's the absence of vision. Defeat is not the result of failure. It's the result of accepting failure as identity. And brokenness is not the lack of strength. It's the loss of belief. These are not permanent conditions. They are reflections of thought patterns you haven't challenged. The moment you shift those patterns, you shift your life. You've never been stuck. You've just been mentally parked in a mindset that keeps you smaller than you were built to be. Most people don't need a miracle. They need a mental reset. They're praying for external breakthroughs while tolerating internal breakdowns. They wait for opportunities but ignore their mental conditioning. They want the result of winning without confronting the cause of losing. But life doesn't work that way. What you attract, what you create, what you build, it all stems from how you think. If you see yourself as powerless, you'll behave that way. If you think you don't deserve success, you'll sabotage it. If you expect life to be hard, full of setbacks and disappointment, you'll unconsciously create that reality again and again. Your thinking is the silent architect of your outcomes. And if it's broken, your results will be too. But when you fix it, when you truly rewire how you see yourself and what you believe is possible, everything around you starts shifting in response. You've been lied to, told that your circumstances define your future, told that your past limits your next chapter, told that your failures mean you're not cut out for greatness. These are mental chains handed down by a world that rewards compliance over confidence. But that story ends the moment you say it does. The moment you realize that the real battle isn't outside, it's internal. That your current situation is not your ceiling, it's your starting point. That your present struggles aren't proof of failure, they're signals to change the way you think. Because once your thinking changes, your decisions change, your energy changes, your habits change. And that chain reaction creates a new outcome. Your transformation doesn't begin with luck, it begins with truth. And the truth is this, you are not defeated, you are dormant. Your power isn't gone, it's buried beneath layers of mental noise that were never yours to begin with. Start stripping away every thought that tells you you're not enough. Remove every belief that says your best days are behind you. Destroy every lie that's whispered you're stuck, lost, or broken beyond repair. You are not broken. Your thinking is misaligned. Realign it, and everything begins to move. You must see yourself not as a victim of life, but as the master of it. You are not poor in ability. You've just forgotten your authority. You are not behind. You've been distracted. Reclaim your mental territory. Stop feeding the ideas that shrink you. Feed the ones that elevate you, thought by thought, belief by belief, word by word. Because each thought you allow into your mind becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. You're either building a prison or building a palace. And the difference is entirely in the thinking you choose to keep. People stay stuck not because of who they are, but because of what they repeatedly think. They live under the weight of unchallenged ideas. Thoughts passed down from parents, teachers, failures, trauma, and society, and they never ask, is this even true? They never question, does this belief serve the life I want? Instead, they protect their limitations, argue for their excuses, and call it realism. But there is nothing real about living beneath your potential. There is nothing wise about calling fear common sense. There is nothing responsible about playing small just to avoid discomfort. That is not truth. That's mental programming, and the only way to break it is to confront it, destroy it, and replace it with thinking that matches who you were born to be. You must decide now that your mind will no longer be a playground for fear, doubt, or defeat. It will be a battleground for excellence, discipline, and growth. You will not allow old patterns to lead you anymore. You will not let your history become your prophecy. You will think as if the future is yours to shape, because it is. You will think with clarity even when the facts look messy. You will think with confidence even when results aren't showing yet, because confidence isn't a reward, it's a requirement. And clarity doesn't come from circumstance, it comes from decision. The moment you decide that your mind will only host the thoughts that build you, the world begins to mirror that inner shift. Don't wait for proof to think correctly, create it. Start thinking as if success is inevitable, and your actions will follow. Start thinking as if your time is now, and you'll start moving like it. The world responds to certainty, and certainty begins with the way you think. Most people wait until they have momentum to believe, but belief is the trigger that creates momentum. It's the seed, it's the fire. If you want to live a powerful life, you must first think powerful thoughts. Every single day, you must check your mental environment. Are your thoughts lifting you or lowering you? Are they serving your goals or stealing your energy? The answer is never neutral. Your mind is either helping you build or it's helping you break. There is no in-between. The people who rise, the ones who shift from obscurity to impact, are not more gifted than you. They are more intentional with their thinking. They guard it, protect it, train it. They think as if they already are what they want to become. They think as if their results are catching up, not chasing them. They think like winners before they have the scoreboard to prove it. That's the edge. That's the difference. That's the mindset that breaks cycles and builds empires. And that mindset is yours the moment you claim it. You must train your mind like a soldier, zero tolerance for doubt, fear, and confusion, because your mind is the battlefield, and every thought is either a weapon or a weakness. You cannot afford to entertain thoughts that make you smaller, weaker, slower, or less focused. Just like a soldier prepares daily for war, you must prepare your mind daily for the fight of life. And the war is not out there, it's inside. It's in the voice that says you're not enough. It's in the hesitation that keeps you standing still when everything in you was built to move forward. It's in the comfort that convinces you mediocrity is safer than mastery. That war is fought every morning when you wake up and every night before you sleep. You don't win that war by accident. You win it with discipline. Relentless, ruthless discipline over what you allow into your mental space. Most people are not defeated by life. They are defeated by their own thoughts long before life ever touches them. They sabotage themselves with what-if scenarios, fears that haven't happened, and stories they keep replaying from the past. That is mental weakness, and it must be eliminated. You do not leave room for confusion when you are training your mind to dominate. You don't leave cracks in the wall of your belief system. You cement it with affirmations, actions, and certainty. Doubt cannot live in a mind that is constantly fed with purpose. Fear cannot control a mind that is governed by vision. And confusion has no place in a mind that has chosen direction, even when the path isn't yet clear. A soldier doesn't wait for peace to train. He trains for war so that peace can be earned. That is how your mind must be trained, before the challenge, not after. Before the storm, not once you're already drowning in it. Mental strength is not natural, it is created. And it is created through repetition, through discipline, and through intentional focus. Just like the body doesn't grow muscles without resistance, the mind doesn't grow stronger without challenge. And you must start welcoming that challenge. Welcome the doubt not as a curse, but as a signal to push harder. Welcome the fear not as a barrier, but as a checkpoint to prove your resolve. Welcome the confusion not as chaos, but as the prelude to clarity. But do not entertain them. Do not let them rent space in your mind. Observe them, recognize them, and override them. The moment you entertain doubt, it breeds more doubt. The moment you let fear speak, it starts shouting. The moment confusion sets in, it tries to paralyze. You must have zero tolerance. That's the code. You don't negotiate with weakness. You train it out. You override it with clarity. You replace it with direction. Train your mind to stay calm under pressure. focused under chaos, and unshakable when everything around you is unstable. The people who rise in life are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They're the ones who have trained themselves to stay centered in the middle of it. You must become so clear on your purpose that no storm can knock you off course. You must decide that your vision is more powerful than your fear, more real than your doubt, and more dominant than any distraction that tries to steal your attention. The world won't hand you your greatness. It will test you. It will challenge you. It will tempt you to shrink. But your training will carry you through. Your mental toughness will make you immune to excuses. Your focus will make you allergic to mediocrity. And your discipline will make you unstoppable. You were not built for average. You were built to conquer. And every great conqueror starts by conquering the battlefield of the mind. That means you stop explaining your limits and start executing your possibilities. That means you get up every day with the mindset that weakness will not survive here. Not in your thoughts, not